What's happening, fellas? If you follow the channel, you know we've been building this Road King M8 131 Stage 5 for, well, the better part of the last 6 months. The engine is done. It's 164 horsepower. Thanks to our friends at Souter Speed. Matt hooked us up. This thing's an absolute rocket. Thunderheader hooked us up with the exhaust. It's got the full Stage 4 kit from Harley, along with Matt's special red shift cams and everything else. So the motor is the motor of doom. It's an absolute rocket ship. But the suspension was a stock suspension. And take a look at the stock shock. That does this look like something that would be safe to put 164 horsepower, 180 mile per hour V-twin with? I don't think so. So our friends at EMC hooked us up, and we're going to tell you a little bit about EMC. And also, you know, you've seen us use Legend. We're an Öhlins dealer. We're a Legend dealer. Why would we try this EMC? Well, the product pretty much speaks for itself. Starting with the forks, unfortunately, Legend, their fork inserts have some shortcomings compared to the EMC, and Öhlins doesn't even make one for a 2-inch over fork. So our Öhlins, which is normally one of our go-tos, they don't make a 2-inch over. And we wanted to set this up. This is a Bagger Racing League tribute bike. It's going to have the graphics on it and everything. And we wanted to make it be able to handle well. So we wanted to do a 2-inch over on the forks and 2-inch over on the shocks to get us some extra ground clearance. With the EMC cartridge fork insert, we went with the 2-inch over Arlen Ness uppers, which are coated that gorgeous gold nitrate coating. It's absolutely beautiful. But the beauty of the EMC is its adjustable compression and rebound. And what's the case with the Legend? There were so few things that you had an issue with.
Yeah, so Legend, you actually can't adjust without taking the fork fully apart. So to do any kind of preload adjustment, you actually have to take the fork completely apart and adjust the cartridge before reassembling your fork, which obviously for something like this is not practical. To get the top cap off of this fork, you have to take the whole bike nearly completely apart.
The fairing and everything.
Yeah, exactly. But with this setup, the EMC setup, we can go ahead and do compression and rebound right on the top of the fork. And this is a lot better valving too. They use this in Dakar rallies. You know, they ran 3 Dakar rallies with the suspension setup without needing any rebuild, which is...
Yeah, their shock, 3 back-to-back Dakar rallies, and they put the shock on the dyno. They use special aluminum, 775 aluminum, and special chrome coatings that are way more durable than anything else on the market. We've had some issue with reliability with we've seen in a lot of the forums with the Legends, there's been some issues with shocks blowing out because of the way that they're designed. And there's been some issues with the Öhlins. I don't think Öhlins has really changed much over the last, the sets I'm ordering now look exactly like they did 5 years ago. The owner of EMC, to me, this EMC means Einstein, right? Well, the guy who owns this company is kind of like Einstein. He's a mastermind technical engineer. His name is Francois. He's actually was blinded in an accident changing a tire on a truck for a friend who was stuck. And he's still designing suspension, even though he's blind. And he actually rides on the back of a motorcycle in a French motocross championship where you can ride. He's the only riders out there riding 2 up. They let him do it. And they got a 12th overall in the series with him on the back. And he can picture what the motorcycle's doing while he's riding on the back and modify the suspension. So his team and his American, the guy who owns EMC North America, or a portion of the company, Christian, he's an engineer too. The guys that work in this company, they're all motorcycle nuts and engineers. It's not owned by some big corporate company. Like, look at this. I mean, tell me some penny pincher must have okayed this shock to go on a $40,000 Harley. I mean, this is the best thinking Harley could do. The stock shock is absolutely pitiful. There's actually, to give them the benefit of the doubt, this is one of these is compression and one's rebound. This is a stock suspension system, but it absolutely pales in comparison in every way to the EMC. But yeah, when you ride with this suspension, it's going to feel really planted and stick to the road. You're going to have much more ground clearance. You're going to have much more suspension travel, and it's totally adjustable. Not only is the fork adjustable for compression and rebound, but the shock has 2 different types of adjustment: high speed and low speed. And what that allows you to do is adjust the suspension for when you're going to hit a big bump. That's a high speed. The low speed is when you're just cruising along. Whereas most shocks, like the Legends and Öhlins, only have 1 adjustment for just the, there is no high speed, low speed. It's 1 compression and rebound. So you can't fine tune it like you can for this, on this shock right here. And this right here is actually your preload adjuster, where normally they have a nitrogen reservoir, which causes some issues because the nitrogen is mixing with the oil, causing cavitation. This is a 3-bladder shock. It's also the thickest shock on the market. It has a 2-inch massive body on it, and it looks beefy. And it has 3 bladders in there, 2 for oil and 1 for nitrogen, and they're kept separate so there's no cavitation, which causes issues and causes seals to blow, like we've seen with the Legends time and time again, and other brands like that. So check this out. This preload, you can, let's say you're going to pick up your wife and you want to go racing through the canyon, you just watch, you can actually see it moving. It'll actually, as you crank it down, see up here where it has the numbers on here, you take it like 10 turns, and there's a 2, 3, 4, 5. You can really crank this thing up or down and adjust the compression without taking your bags off or bringing any specialty tools out. It's really quite easy to do. So it's definitely light years better than anything else that we've seen yet. Some of the key points on the EMC shock is they use 0 grade oil, meaning the oil does not change its viscosity at all with temperature changes, and it makes the shocks more stable regardless of the conditions or the heat or how cold it is. This also helps a lot with the reliability since the oil seals and the moving parts are always working in the same conditions. This is a huge advantage on air shocks that cannot stay consistent with the air getting up in pressure with temperature changes due to climate or regular use, and they start to leak, as we've seen with all the competition. The EMC shock bodies, as I said, are over 2 inches in diameter, allowing more oil for the system, larger than any other brand, offering a longer oil life. It's not an emulsion or pressurized system, but gas compensated with a bladder inside. The EMC shock has a big advantage on any other shock because they are not pressurized, making the shock 25 to 30% more reactive to the road conditions. You really have to try a set of these to appreciate how good they are. This translates to a better riding comfort and longer tire life since the shock works on small road bumps and not the tire sidewalls. This also makes the motorcycle handling much more precise since the tire is not collapsing at the first bump on the road, generating uncertainty and lack of confidence for the rider. They use their tri-tube technology that laminates the oil in compression and rebound inside the valve body, the shock head where the knobs are located up at the top there, eliminating any cavitation at 100%. There's 0 cavitation. The shock is built using top-of-the-line CNC machines. They machine all their parts in-house from 7075 T6 aluminum alloy, which is the best you can get, way better than the 6061 T6. And this allows to control the tolerances better than cast parts. Öhlins use cast parts. The tolerances are not even nearly as close as a CNC machine 7075 T6 aluminum alloy. That's why they outsell Öhlins big time overseas. It's very important for the consistency and the product's function. The springs they use on these are iBox springs, top of the line, big money springs, the best in the industry, and they're made in the USA. The shocks themselves are currently made in France at their factory over there. They've got to go. EMC has a complete video where you meet the owner and some of the employees and see all the CNC machines on their YouTube channel. You might want to check it out. The EMC valve system allows the user to adjust the shocks very accurately. 2 clicks on the knob brings a big change in the settings, and there's a 26 clips to play with to get the shock exactly where you want it with 2 range of adjustments, low and high speed, which is comfort and bottoming control. Every adjustment is independent. They do not have any incidents on the other ones, meaning you can adjust only the bottoming strength all the way without altering the comfort. So they're the only company in the industry that offers that right now. Nobody's doing that. Their spring preload, which looks like a remote reservoir, but that's a spring preload, is a really cool piece. Every shock is tailored to the customer's length. Like we want a 2-inch over on this one, so they built it exactly where we wanted. I told them I'm 210 pounds, what type of ride. I'm an aggressive road rider, and I ride with a passenger 50% of the time. And they also dyno test every shock before they ship. I don't know of any other company in the world, any shock company that dyno tests their products, making sure their products, they offer 100% satisfaction, and they warranty these products for a year. I don't know any other manufacturer that does that. Under competition use, I don't think any of the other ones are warranted. The EMC shocks are extremely reliable over the years. EMC has won more than 500 championships in different race applications on road and dirt, and they have shocks that have done 3 Paris-Dakar rallies, and I've been there before. It's like being sandblasted for three days, for thousands of miles. And they've done 3 Paris-Dakar rally races without any intervention. That means without replacing seals, without having to do any repairs, which is absolutely remarkable. So the spring preload adjustment here is extremely practical, easy to use, and allows you to accommodate your spring preload when having a passenger, not like a pressure canister that cannot do anything about your passenger or a heavy luggage load. This is also lighter, much lighter than the canisters that they put on the Öhlins and the other companies. So the best benefit of the EMC shocks is the motorcycle is much more precise when you're in a curve or hit a bump, and you instantly feel like the motorcycle is anchored to the asphalt and keeps you in the direction that you choose without any hesitation or wobble. You dyno riders are going to want that, that's for sure. So spectacular set of shocks. I'm actually getting a set to put, now if you come over here, let me show you this set of Öhlins I have on this 2024 CVO bagger. These look cool, but they're kind of heavy, and they're way off the back of the bike. So, and this is pressurized nitrogen in those mixed with oil. So you do get some cavitation, as I understand it. And as far as a reliability standpoint, it can be an issue. They're beautiful looking shocks. I love the way they look. This is actually a paper decal. Christy's doing a black wrap to put on this because I didn't really like the gold that much. Too much gold in this bike, but so I have the decals being made, so I was going to tone it down a little bit. But this is my personal CVO road glide, so I'm really looking forward to trying out the EMC shock back to back with these monster M8s and seeing if it's as good as I think it's going to be. But so far, everything I've read about them, everything I've seen about them, the quality of the product, the fact that their fork kit is the only one that offers that adjustability, and Öhlins doesn't make a 2-inch over, and I really needed some extra ground clearance for that thing. So we're gonna take it out in Thompson Motor Speedway and maybe Loudon and do some hot laps with it on the track where we can't get arrested. So stay tuned for that. But just a fantastic product. Another thing that blew my mind, I went on their website. They have over 5,000 shock applications, from everything from a Honda CRF 250L to vintage Elsinores. They make a shock for over 5,000 different models, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think there's any company in the world that has a catalog like that. It's just really remarkable. So we're going to try some of these shocks on some of our vintage bikes. They just bought them to the US now. I believe this is the first video in the United States. I heard about this. I talked to Christian, their North America manager of the branch that is starting to sell shocks over here. The other thing too is you order the shocks to your weight, to your riding style, to your length. You pick your colors out, anything you want. They custom build it, and then they ship it from France right to your front door. So it's pretty cool. So guys, we've been an Öhlins dealer for 10 years, and I've used Öhlins on most of my builds. I've been a dealer for Legend for years, and we just did our drifter cross bike with the 14-inch Legends on it. Matter of fact, Mr. Turbo here put the 14-inch Legends on his Dyna.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Stunt build that he built. So we're also, I'd like to announce, the first dealer in North America, or the only dealer in North America, selling the EMC shocks, and we can drop ship them right to your house. So whether you want Legend, Öhlins, or the EMCs, we can hook you up. And I can't wait to try this out. And we're also doing a set of 14s on our Sportster build that we just got another Sportster build. We have the Drifter Cross build, and then I also have the 883R, the 02, which is a rigid mount, the best one to make a hot rod out of. So we're going to do the EMC suspension on that and compare them back to back and see which one's best. So I think the writing's on the wall that there's a new kid in town. EMC Shocks, really cool story about the company, the guys that run it. They are number one in France and in Europe. They sold, I think it was 5,000 shocks last year is what I heard, if I remember correctly, the Christian told me. And they're outselling Öhlins overseas and Legend. So, and there's a reason why. The product is top notch.
Hey guys, Justin, Mr. Turbo here, and today we're working on the 2021 Harley Road Glide. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we got this special package over from EMC over in France, and they're providing us with this cartridge setup for our forks. So we're going to install these cartridges in the front forks, and we're also going to put some gold fork tubes. As you can see, I got one done already, and it just looks killer. And EMC also provided us these rear piggyback shocks, which we're going to install in the rear. But I'll have Ken run that down for you guys, explain why they're so much better than everything else out there, including Legends, Öhlins, everything else. But without further ado, I'm going to start the time lapse and show you guys what's the process for installing these new cartridges. It really isn't that bad. Let's begin. Okay, let's begin step one of this insert kit. So the first thing we actually have to do is modify our new fork tubes. So here I have my Arlen Ness plus 2 gold tubes. And what we have to do is actually grind this lip off of the fork tube, which allows these factory inserts to all pop out. You can see maybe on the chrome tube, it has a little bit better of a look. You can see that there's a lip on the top ring right here, and that actually keeps all of these inserts inside of your fork, if you can see in there. So I'm going to take a flap wheel, and I'll show you guys. I'm going to grind off this lip, which allows us to get all the factory inserts out and replace it with our new inserts here. Now, if we look in the instructions, you could show that they use a cutoff wheel to actually grind that lip off, or they recommend throwing the fork tube in a lathe. But truthfully, it's not all that critical. We're going to go ahead and use this flap wheel, which I got, and we're just going to buzz off the top. And I'll show you guys that now. So now you can see we have that lip all ground off, and it's all ground into kind of one material. And now what I went ahead and did, my fork tube up, is I'm just going to take a fork seal driver and pop this up. And our ring just popped off. Now you can see all the internals will just slowly pop out of there. And we're going to remove all those because that's not needed for our new factory insert. And once I get all these inserts out, I'm going to go ahead and just touch this up, make it a perfect finish, and then we'll get to the installation. So here we got all the inserts out, and I went ahead and just touched this up on our buffing wheel, and now it has a beautiful even finish on it. And now that the hard part's out the way, let's get it all installed. So here we have all of our suspension components laid out. I went and pulled off this spacer and the top cap off of our cartridge. That's required for assembly. What we're going to go ahead and do now is put the cartridge through our fork tube. I got a brand new bushing that's going to go on the fork tube right there. I'll slide that on. And then once the cartridge is in the tube, we're going to slide the tube in the fork lower and put our lower clamp bolt through the bottom of the fork and tighten it against the cartridge right there. So we'll start by doing that, and then I'll show you guys the process of bleeding the shock, or bleeding the fork, getting oil in it, getting it all to spec and torque to spec. And so here we have the rough assembly of our fork. What we're going to do now is fill it up with oil, and not too much. We're just going to put, maybe a quarter of this liter in, and then bleed this rod back and forth. So we'll push the tube all the way down, which exposes our fork rod. And once we fill it up with oil, we're just going to pump it about 10 times up and down. And you're going to hear air come out of it. And also, this is going to build more resistance. Right now, it's really free moving because there's no oil going through it. But the minute we get some oil going through this, it's going to get a little bit smoother. But I just went ahead and tightened this with the impact just to get a rough torque on it. I didn't go too crazy. And then when it's actually, I'd like to wait till the fork is back in the bike to torque that to the final spec. It's trickier to grab to, and there's also no spring tension against this inner rod. So this inner rod will want to spin because of the lack of spring tension against it. So once it's back in the bike, I'll go ahead, get my torque wrench out. We'll torque that to spec. But yeah, let's start bleeding these forks. Show you guys the process. Now that our fork cartridge is all rebuilt and bled, now we have to set our final fork level. So you're going to need a micrometer like I have here, and you're going to measure out 95 millimeters for this setup. And with the tube fully compressed and the rod fully compressed inside of there, we're going to fill up the fork level until there's fluid up until 95 millimeters of this fork leg, which will be about right here where my finger is. So we'll get that on, put the spring and our two caps on, and this fork is fully rebuilt. So now we got our front forks all assembled, got them torqued down in the bike. We're going to start assembling this front end now.
Mr. Turbo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's a reason that they ran Ohlins out of France. I think they're going to run Ohlins out of the U.S. now, and Legends has to watch out too.
I don't know. They got some deep roots here, man, and I love the way those Ohlins look on my bike. We'll have to see. We're going to give them all Ohlins, Legend, EMC. It's like a little, what do you call it, shootout?
Yeah.
suspension shootout. Yeah, on the baggers and on the Sportsters. And we got some other guys that work here have Dynas too. So we're I'm pretty sure that Andrew wanted to get a set for his Dyna.
Yeah.
And we can compare them back to back with yours. Mr. Turbo, you had a interesting thing you mentioned about the Öhlins, and I didn't even know this. I thought they were still servicing shocks, but they're under new ownership. They don't service shocks anymore. So if your shock blows up, your $1,500 set of Öhlins piggyback shocks, they're basically garbage, right?
Right. Yeah. Legends as well. I mean, if you're a really big name, might be able to twist someone's arm and get your stuff serviced, but it's really hard for the everyday guy to get their Öhlins, serviced or Legends rebuilt. But EMC offers that capability. You could ship their shocks, right back out to them. They'll service them, dyno test them, and send them right back out to you with all new components and seals. So
I think they offer that service because their shocks never blow up, so it's not a big deal. Maybe Legend owns like, oh shit, we'll never get it done. All our shocks are coming back. But trust me, if you're one of the wheelie boys going around a perfectly sand-free parking lot, blowing donuts and riding wheelies and jumping off curbs, that's nothing like the Dakar rally, where they're sandblasted for days straight. So if this shock can survive 3 Paris to Dakar rallies, you're going to be fine. With the Dyna Bros, you're all set, bro. So, yeah, that's something to consider. It's the service after the sale and the longevity, the shock, being able to get it repaired.
It makes it a lifetime component at that point, because the other stuff is kind of throwaway. Once it starts leaking, or once it's not 100%, it's really just a throwaway product. Where this isn't, you could fully service it and have your original shocks right back on your bike.
Amen. Good point.
Most importantly, though, please like and subscribe, and God bless America.
Yeah, 80, we looked it up today. 80, I thought it was 80, because 82% of you guys watching aren't subscribed. So please hit the like and subscribe. We pour our heart out and work our ass off here for nothing sometimes, it seems like. And it's appreciated, man. We appreciate the support. Yeah, check out these gold tubes. These are Arlen S. Rest in peace, Arlen. But those are beautiful. Titanium nitrate coated. I think that's what they call it, right? It's titanium nitrate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So, we're not done with this bike. We got a few more tricks up our sleeves. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. And check out their website, EMC Shocks. We'll have some pricing information here for you shortly. Thanks for watching. God bless America, and God bless our new friends in France. I think Öhlins and Legend are going to get a run for their money from these guys, man. But hey, competition is good for the breed, right? So we'll see. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, they're actually priced less than Öhlins or Legend too, which is, to me, with all the technology you're getting and the features and benefits, it's kind of like a no-brainer. They're also making a different shock adjusters. They're making a little bit bigger one, and you can get these anodized in gold, which I think is how our Sportster set's coming in. They'll do the shock bodies in black or gold, and they don't offer the coatings on the shock shaft, because they said the titanium nitrate in the DLC coating, the black, wasn't as reliable as the chrome. But we'll see about that. Maybe we can get them to do some cool different colors for you guys, because I know if you're a Harley rider or a sport bike rider, you want the bike to look cool too, right? It's got to work and it's got to look cool. So these guys will check that box too. It's the biggest, beefiest shock on the market, and with the best technology, made of the best components, dyno tested with the only one with high and low speed compression. I mean, when I read the spec sheet and I got the specs from Christian, I was like, man, I got to try a set of these out. So, and now we're going to be selling them too. So you guys can too. Thanks for watching. God bless America, and God bless our new friends in France.